let's talk about buying a property at a tax auction. All right, so maybe you guys have heard of someone buying a screaming hot deal going into a tax auction or into some kind of a foreclosure auction, or they got this house on a great deal, and you want to do it as well. So what are some things that you can do to help present best help yourself? So let me give you a little bit of background, a little bit of experience. Last year, I had 3 different people reach out to me about a property that was on a auction. And so it was really cool. I got to watch as both of those 3 different mindsets, they didn't know each other, kind of explored and asked questions about the property. I also helped someone once they bought a property under tax auction, sell that property. And I just had another conversation with a owner of a property that has a property that he bought under tax auction. And there's some myths and there's some truths. So one of the big myths is that you can get a fantastic smoking hot deal, which you may be able to get. Yesterday, one of my clients reached out to me and said, hey, there's 2 properties that I'm interested in that are on the auction. They're going to be bid. Final bid is tomorrow morning. I'd like to, know if I should be bidding more or less. Can you go check out the area, check out the house? Some of them are vacant. Maybe you can walk around, get some more information. And one of them was in a great area. It was the rough and the diamonds, right? That's what you want. The roughest house in a nice area that when you put some money into it, you can realize that that profit long term. The other one, the house was gone. There was an excavator sitting there, and just so happened to be that the excavator operator was sitting there, and I was taking pictures of the property, and I'm kind of looking because the address to the right is 123 and the address to the left is 127, and I'm looking for 125, and there's no 125, but there's a hole where it looks like there used to be a house and an excavator. And I went over and talked to the guy, and he's like, yeah, I just removed the house. The city condemned it and had me to remove it. So there might be someone right now holding the title to a property that they think a house is on, and there's nothing there. So one of the biggest things when it comes to tax auctions or any auctions in general, when it comes to that kind of stuff, is do as much due diligence as you can. Go buy the property, right? Go not purchase the property, but go to the property, take a look around. You may not be able to go on the property. You don't want to get caught trespassing. That's not what I'm saying. And a lot of these, you can't go in the property, but go look around. Look at the neighbors. If the neighbors have 17 cars up on blocks, that's going to be a really hard sale for you to sell. Even if you put in all the nice, quartz countertop waterfall, and, you've got heated Italian tile in your bathrooms, right? It's not going to help that the neighbors are running an auto shop out front or have a junkyard collection next door. Number 2 is a lot of these auctions do not offer what they call title insurance. And so you're going to have to go through a process once you have purchased that home. And I would start that as soon as possible. An example that I had is a client of mine purchased a property. It had an old house on the property. And they took the property off, or the house off. And when they went to sell it the first time, the title company, but very typically, let me back up one bit. You go to buy a house today, it's on Zillow. You write an offer with your agent, put it under contract, and that's going to go to the title company. And the title company is going to make sure that the current owner has the right to sell that house. That John Smith is the actual owner, and they can sell it, and they're going to oversee the transaction as a third party to the transaction. So What happened in this particular case is when they got under contract and they took it to the title company discovered what they call a break in chain of title, or something that was wrong with the property. So essentially, to make it as easy as possible, before my client got the property, there was 3 brothers that owned it, and they had sold it to someone, but they only had 2 of the brothers were still alive to sell it to the other person, and the 3rd person had passed away, right? So technically, they didn't have any business. They should have put that through probate. They didn't. All the things. So they had to do a quiet title. And that process can take sometimes 8 months to a year, depending on what you got to do to get clean title on that. So that's one of the myths too about a auction property, is that you could just go buy it and then turn around and sell it. I mean, possibly you could, but a normal buyer, a normal transaction, you're going to have the title company involved in it. And so now you've got to get clean title in order to sell it. It's just like if you're selling a car, and you own you got a car with a loan on it. You don't necessarily have the title to that car. The bank does. And so in order for you to sell it, you've got to get the title from the bank. You've got to pay off the bank, all the things, right? With a quiet title scenario, you've got to make sure that you have the ability to sell it. So my conversation today with a guy was, he bought a property on a tax auction years back, and I told him, I said, you may want to go to the title company and get that process started now. He's just sitting on the property. He's not looking to sell it anytime soon, but if he's going to sell it in possibly the next 2 years, get that process started. Get that clean title. Make sure that if you put that property on the market tomorrow and you've got clean title, you can sell it. If you don't, you might be 6 months to 8 months out. So what happened with my client, who had to go through this quiet title process, took her almost a year to actually get the title into her name. And by that time, the buyer wasn't interested in buying the property anymore. Now, fun fact, the buyer had already put earnest money down, right? So the buyer did have to relinquish their earnest money. That being said, she still didn't have the property sold. And now, it's an unfortunate time of the year that, and it'd been great to list the property in June. Now we're listing it, in November. The property went quick, don't get me wrong. But my point is when it comes to these tax auctions, there's lots to think about. The last thing that I would say, going back to, previewing the property and everything, is get an expert on your side right away. So I've had people reach out that are looking to buy something on a tax auction or auction in general. And if you can get some rough numbers of what you can sell the property for, that is very helpful to help you build out your bottom line, because auctions can be exciting. Woo! And next thing you know, you bid $100, and then you bid $200, and then you bid $1,000. Oh my gosh! And if you don't have a hard line in the sand, you can really be bit. And I think that that's what a lot of the people that I've worked with over the years have been very smart to do. So one of the properties, the one that 3 people had interest in, they'd all called me up. They all said, hey, what's this property worth? Gosh, I think that one was worth about $50,000 for the property. Obviously, there's going to be commissions. There's going to be some title and escrow fees. There's going to be some auction house fees, right? So every investor is obviously looking to make money, but they've also got a percentage. Most investors have a percentage that they want to make on their money. No point in taking money out of a good growth mutual fund that's making 10-12% over here, and you make 8% on the sale of a property. It just doesn't make sense. Plus all the time and everything else. So, you know, you might be somewhere in the neighborhood of 20 to 30% that you want to make on your money. So that means in order to buy that $50,000 property, you've got to pick it up for no more than $35,000. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense. It's just not worth the time. And you're getting too close in the margins, where what happens if it doesn't sell for 50 and it sells for 45, and now you're stuck with that property and holding costs and everything else. So anyways, love giving tips. If you watch this video for this long, smash the subscribe button. I bring tips, tricks, and market updates, looking to help out everybody else in this world and bring clarity to real estate. Have a great day.